take a seat, feel the magic in the air. Cards on the table, let the spirits take you there. Aeson's got the insight, Joe's teching up the show. Sip that truth, honey, let the mystic wisdom flow. Oh, ooh, it's the Sidekick Coffee Shop. To future sights, we're spilling secrets left and right. So grab your cup, let's take a ride on this cosmic caffeinated guide. Yun, ooh, it's the Sidekick Coffee Shop.
Good evening, how are you? We hope you're wonderful. I'm Aeson Knight, of course. I'm sitting down with the Techie with the mostest, Techie Joe. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you this evening?
I feel very good, a little hyper, a little all over the living place.
A little Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. Is that what
definitely. Fucking ADHD on kicker. Yeah, that's us. Yeah, we're there.
Yeah. Still waiting on meds. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to be bouncy. I'm going to be a little bit everywhere. That's okay. Hello, Brenda. How are you, sweet thing?
Yeah, so Pluto, our petite power planet of primordial urges. Yeah, we're looking at transformation through trauma, id energy, and the subconscious mind is going retrograde in Aquarius from May 4th to October 13th.
Yeah, so what does that actually mean? That means that there's going to be times that, like, if you've been overworking, you're just going to go play.
Yeah, that's 100% of how today went. Like, I'm sitting here having a whole moment where you're like, it's like 3 minutes till show. I've done nothing productive.
Well, you have. I think
Brenda wants to know, is that why she can't sleep for the past 4 nights?
Yes, most definitely. Definitely. And then maybe not being able to sleep. Maybe you're sleeping too much. Maybe you just need to fuck off and drop your head into a game and take on the challenge of the latest boss. It is literally time to do you.
If it helps any, I went to bed about 7:45 this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it's run for me.
Yep. And, that's how it's running for a lot of people. And they're all like, well, what are you doing? And it's like, I just need to go zone for a while. I need to sit here and click buttons and make cool things happen and just do that. And that's actually very productive for the brain. It's also very productive for the spirit, especially if you've been working a lot and getting attached to your work a lot. Yes, this is what you need to be doing.
Yeah, Brenda's laughing at my 7:30 a.m. So yeah, I'm looking at a New York Post article that basically psychic astrologer Rose Smith imparts. This is a time to trust the process, even when we can't see the path ahead clearly. By surrendering to these deep currents of transformation, we allow ourselves to be reshaped into something more authentic and powerful than before.
Yeah.
So basically, go with it.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, don't stress it.
Right.
Like,
it'll be okay.
Well, and it may be one of those moments of, like, you can wind yourself up into that. That's not what I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone else is going to be not doing the thing either.
Exactly.
So we're all just going to, like, snap back to it when we get there.
When you get there.
And it'll be okay.
Right, but it's also time to shed off bad habits, i.e., overworking behaviors.
This is fair. This is fair.
you know, and allowing that to kind of be the guide that it is, and let your nature follow your nature. Maybe you can't sleep, Brenda, because it ain't your natural sleeping pattern. It's the one enforced on you.
It's the one that works for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And with that, it can be very complicated. Dreamy. I dream of a dream. Um, and it can be really hard. Um, Retrogrades in general are bitchos, and when they over affect or under affect something, like Saturn retrograde, we're all fucked. Mercury retrograde, that comes around so often that boy owes me taxes and possibly rent. But we've learned to move through those. This Pluto in retrograde, it's till October.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. It's a long one.
Yes, and that's because Pluto is a social planet. Meaning it's going to affect society. We're going to see some changes around that, but you're also going to see some own personal stuff going on. You guys may see businesses shutter their doors.
Oh wow.
Because they've outlived themselves. They can't adjust. They can't flow into October.
Now, as for now, is this one of those retrogrades that kind of hits hard at like different points for different people, and then it kind of will, as in, like, is it hitting early for me right now, and then give me a couple of weeks, I'll be back on track, and like, what the rest of y'all do?
And it moves on to the next one.
Okay, fair. So if it's not hit you yet, wait.
It will come.
And it'll be wild. And just go with it. It's just have fun. Enjoy.
Yeah, and just be, it's like me. I'm ADHDing the hell today. I've been super focused on getting things in line and handling them. And that's okay.
It'll all be all right.
Yep.
Just it is what it is.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And it's all right that it is what it is, and it is how it is, and we just move along with it.
Well, of course, I gotta say that at least for me, and this probably sounds really bad, I'm kind of having the moment of I'm not really stressing. Like I had the initial, of course, but outside of that, it's just kind of like,
yeah,
like I've been running around a lot.
You have.
And it's kind of nice.
Well, and it's been a lot.
Yes. We've had all the things.
Yes. And we work through those things, and we vibe with them, and then this may be a good time for you to like breathe. And that's weird for people nowadays. It's just breathe. You don't have to do anything more than breathe.
Well, Brenda says, so basically line up. Joe and I just ended up in front of the line.
Yep. It's where is Pluto in your chart? Is it in your dark house? Is it in your movable house? Like, where is it?
And if it's further down my, like, it's going to be wild. Just as a realization that, because I don't know, where is Pluto in my chart? Because if it's further along than like the immediacy, as in like early in my chart, Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. And it's okay to be fun. It's okay to be good. It's okay to work the way it needs to work.
Absolutely. Any other fun items for Pluto retrograde?
Yeah. Looking at the article, I don't think there's a lot there. I mean, like it's going to do its thing,
And we're
and
all gonna be up.
and it's all going to be okay. And you just allow it. You just sit there, you kind of breathe it out. You watch how culture changes, and you kind of move with that. And overall, I don't think this is going to be a bad one. I think that we're going to probably move pretty well with it.
Oh, so there's a fun one over here in our psychic on Reddit. I think
Oh,
you'll
go
enjoy
for it.
this one.
Okay. What you got?
Has anyone's spirit guides just up and left you? I know what spirit guides are not supposed to do, but what is a spirit guide's role? Are spirit guides supposed to protect you?
They're just your assistant. Like they're not required to have a role of anything more than your assistant. So yeah, they can quit. They can walk the hell out and not come back. Is it common? No, not really.
Is that a bad sign?
Well, that means that you're going to get another one assigned to you.
Okay. Like, is that what happens when you like don't listen, or is that just like, okay, let's try this again?
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't listen, you don't pay attention, something isn't right. And that's when you're probably changing paths. And they're like, I didn't sign up for this. Which isn't always a bad thing.
Oh wow, this become a very slow forum.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sure, I've got my sorting. Oh, I have my best, not new.
Yeah.
Of course, then again, sometimes.
Right. Sometimes it has to be balanced. Sometimes, it's all over the place. But no, I figure check out the real witchcraft one. That should have some interesting ones in it.
Okay. There. That was our witchcraft, you say?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, this is one you always love.
Awesome.
All right, weird question. Used books and decks. Hello. The woman next door passed away, and as an avid thrifter and general nosy person, I asked their children if I could take a look before they started selling stuff. There were hundreds of books: herbal magic, Celtic, Welsh, working with native spirits, archangel angels, and more. And there was a whole room where there were tarot decks and her pillar candles. My question for folks is this taboo to buy an old witch's books? I probably won't do the decks just from an energy perspective, but as a baby witch, I'm interested in angels, crafts, signs, and herbs. I just don't want to tick anyone off. personally, if someone who had the intention to use them for good and to learn, I would be stoked. Anyways, thanks. So yeah.
I see no reason in not buying a used deck. That's just like making a new friend.
Okay, well, granted that, but what about the books and all the other magic stuff?
I think that's perfectly fine. All that magical stuff is perfectly fine.
Yeah, Brenda's like, "Psh, give me the old books and decks."
Yeah, you'll actually probably get better copies. Mm-hmm.
It is a nice find, nice find.
Mm-hmm. And often that find is much better than what it needed to be, what it is, where it's at. And it's a very good buy. And again, I see no reason having a problem with it being at it where it should be. As long as you bring it home, cleanse it, of course, the same as you would do anywhere else, you'll be perfectly fine with it.
Good deal.
Yep.
So yeah.
And I think with that, and for those that don't know, you don't wash it. If it is a physical piece of furniture, i.e., you buy an altar table, you're going to wash that sucker down in some holy water, salt, rosemary, sage, maybe angelique. Clothing, same thing. If it is a tarot deck or anything that you can't put water on, you're going to smoke the hell out of it. I used to have a 10-gallon fish tank. I'd said whatever I needed to clean down in there, and I'd fill that sucker up with it, 5 or 6 incense, put a lid on the sucker, and let it smoke. But, that's my point of view. Like, as long as it's still functional, still works, why not? You also may get some rare copies of stuff there.
So there's some extra copies of books they already have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So buy them, enjoy them, use them, especially with family that maybe doesn't know or understand or even practices. Go for it.
So,
Okay.
I'm still scrolling through to see if I see more that would be a good one. Sorry, some of them are a little bit just like asked and answered. Did you even search before you posted?
Did you check Google?
Yeah, and some it just reads like, not only is it asked and answered, but one more time, you have not found a new way to ask the question.
Right.
You have not stumbled upon some magical in between where it's okay to do X, Y, or Z.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It isn't anything new. It is what it is. And you sometimes just have to go, oh, we'll dig into this a little more. Work through I wish people would teach more logic. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that would work better in some witch schools that are out there. All right, let's see if there's anything good in my news feed. Let's talk about this one.
okay.
Granted, it should be probably on Mountain Bears, but this one kind of goes across the board.
Okay.
Like, I hate these articles, but let's go for it. If we can see it. Yes, we can. The article is what instantly make guys unattractive. There's a lot of things and opinions that make guys unattraction. I mean, I
Oh
think,
yes.
sometimes that is understanding where, you know, the basis is that everyone has a different biochemical level, and some dudes' biochemicals register with you, and some do not. So, what's your instant turn off?
Um, I was reading through to see what the most popular ones
Mm-hmm.
are. I gotta go with one of the more popular ones, which is how you treat others.
Mm-hmm.
I've had many a date ruined by someone's like poor treatment
Mm-hmm.
of. I will say it's the best part of a date for me. It's like free meal, whatever. No, forget that. It's literally seeing how you play with others
Mm-hmm.
in a service industry setting.
Right.
Because that, like, I'm sorry, no, that sets an ick that just
Right. And that
you
ick sometimes you cannot get away from.
yeah, no, that's all. I have only had one person survive the ick on
Ah.
bad treatment of like a server in a restaurant, and
Okay.
that one, like, that was one of those moments where hmm, it started like their treatment of the server started out like genuinely decent,
Mm-hmm.
and the service just kept getting worse, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I gotta give you that one. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
you probably, like, I think they went too far
Okay.
in the level of anger, but it's
Right.
like as in I also was not having a good service experience.
Right.
But it was one of those, like, multiple attempts were made to remain decent,
Right.
and it was like I will grant you that one.
Right.
Like that was one day in which I was like, uh, normally if this is how you'd led,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, yeah, this the ick is here.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, we're multiple interactions in. This has only gotten worse. It's like, okay, I'll grant it. I think you started out like good show, and then
And then it was like, oh,
like,
what?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, so that was the only time I've ever been like, no, I'm gonna let someone have that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think the server deserved what they got
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like the ultimate like end, but it's like you started decent enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like like it was one of those, like, my date really was decent
Mm-hmm.
until there had been multiple failures, and then I was like, okay, yeah. Then it got real bad real quick. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, there was multiple failures.
Well, yeah,
Like,
and
multiple attempts of being decent were made, and then it went like totally off a cliff. And I'm like, I'm gonna give you that one. I
mm-hmm.
think that's a little harsh, but fair, fair,
Right.
fair. Like, I wouldn't have gotten that upset, but yeah, fair.
Yeah. Well, and your anger and someone else's anger is always questionable.
Well, yeah, I tend to let people just completely off the boat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I threw a line. If you decide to tie it around your neck instead of your waist,
What
it's
can
gonna
we do with
suck when
that?
I jerk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's So I tend to give people a lot of slack to make sure that, like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna deserve everything you get.
Right.
Like, we're not gonna have any like maybe
Yeah.
that could have gone differently, been handled some other
Mm-hmm.
way. No,
Right.
no, no,
Yeah.
no.
And it's
I'm
like,
usually
no, there's no other way to
enough
handle
slack.
that bullshit.
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, other people are kind of like faster to like short rope, quick jerk, and it's like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
eh, other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I'm usually real clear, and
Mm-hmm.
it's nope, that's it. You're done. There's no redemption.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
See, for me, I'm instant death, and always have been.
hmm.
Yeah, like,
Well,
you know, I get to a point, and I'm like, I'm done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but your point is a lot. Like, you are also one of the short rope quick jerk
Mm-hmm.
on that one. And yeah, it's pretty permanent, but I mean in terms of like how others might see the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is yeah, there's sometimes like, well, it may not have necessarily been the best reaction to that.
Yeah.
Like, there was some wiggle room there that, like, well, maybe that wasn't what it was.
But really,
I
was there wiggle
usually
room there?
do what now?
I said, really, was there wiggle room there? No wiggle room was there.
Well, but no, for me, I go for there is legitimately no wiggle room. There's no one in the room that doesn't think you're about to get what you deserve.
Yes, and
Um,
blow up.
yeah, yeah, no. Well, and
Yeah,
that's part of it is like when I lose my temper, it's usually pretty bad.
right,
So one, I hate doing that.
right,
Like, it's not me. That's not how I work. That's not who I
right,
want to be. That's not how I want to feel in my day. So
right.
I'll gloss over a lot of things and let it slide, let it slide, let it slide. But at the point in which I've lost my temper, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, it's well deserved.
Right,
Usually everyone else is like, thank fucking God.
right.
Like, this has been a long time coming.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
know.
Spaghetti-O, he has gone and
Yeah,
destroyed something.
things have been destroyed.
Yes. But anyhow, so, for me, people get into, let's look at the major ones here.
Yeah, so A1 was now this is from Gay and Fabulous, which is a Facebook group. And that someone posed the question, what instantly makes a man unattractive? The most liked answer was short and sweet, voting Republican with 180 upvotes.
Mm-hmm.
Other popular answers included narcissism or just overall bad attitude, how you treat others, number 3, and being closed-minded / lack of empathy. And then there were variations on the theme with like control freak, manipulative, condescending, bigotry and prejudice. Also seemed like cigarettes were a massive turnoff for many. For smoking, as another well-liked answer, closely followed by bad hygiene or bad teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Long and tidy fingernails also seemed unpopular with many men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there were some other answers like cruelty to animals, or when someone asks you to get rid of your pets, not caring about dogs,
Oh, yeah.
and kind
Like,
of
that's an
variation.
issue.
Then there was a
Right.
similar Ask Gaybro subreddit in which someone said, "What's a very minor thing that makes an attractive guy become unattractive to you?" So the original poster said, "I think a cute guy loses his charm when he doesn't smile in pictures." Let's see. So many of the answers were similar to the Facebook post, with those who are rude to waiters or taxi drivers or act uncaring in other ways, viewed as unattractive. Some answers included lack of effort in and out of bed. Let's see. Being bombarded with disingenuous compliments or overly obsessive about physical attributes. Texting too much. Judgment about social media use, including thirst traps, and adult content. Yeah, well, and if your attitude stinks. So yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know the like. I don't think the adult content / thirst trap thing is necessarily a deal breaker.
Not
I
for me
mean,
either.
I could see that one becoming a deal breaker because like we've all run across those accounts that are like, "Oh, I'm feeling so fat." You
Oh,
know,
I'm looking for
like the
attention. Eat a
like
candy
if
bar.
there's
Stop being a pain.
well, looking for attention is one thing. Looking like you seeking attention in a way that like you are disingenuously self-deprecating. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're self-deprecating about a thing that isn't a problem.
Right.
You know, like, that one, yeah, that can be a turn off. Okay, I
Yeah.
can follow that one.
I can follow
I
that
think
for a moment.
some of it is how you use it. Like your
Right.
mileage will vary. But
Right.
just having like a thirst trap account, just having an adult content account, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say one of the wildest ones actually came out of a friend of mine. And this has been many years ago. I got so mad about it. They were always like in a humble bag, or no, that's not what it's called. It's oh shit. Like it's a newer term, and like it's where you're not begging, but you just keep stating all your life problems with like the implied, like it'd be really nice if someone would send me money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm totally down for a GoFundMe. I'm totally down for people have horrible things happen and unexpected things occur. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
This was just this constant, like, I'm so hungry. I wish I had money to go to this restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Just over and over and over. And it was like, for the love of God,
Mm-hmm.
one, get a job. Two, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
I struggle, like, I hate saying those words or
Mm-hmm.
having that moment. Not because I don't think people need employment or whatever. I just think that's sometimes a really kind of
Right.
response to anyone.
Right.
It's just kind of like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, it really is like, oh, for the love of God, get a job, get a sugar daddy, do something.
Mm-hmm.
Create the adult content account. Like, I will help you set it up at this point if it
Yeah.
will shut you up. Because
Right.
I'm tired of hearing about all the horrible things you're doing without in your life.
Right. And
Like that kills any attraction for me. I will say that one. That just bleh.
right.
That was an ick I just never could get rid of.
Right.
So
For me, and something that always gets me is the like
Maybe.
you
Well,
submit or you say something, about like, well, I can do X, for you, or X to help you, and they don't want that.
yeah, that's not the help.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, that's kind of like your money spell, or like the win the lottery scenario,
Right.
which it's like buy a ticket. If you really want to win the lottery, start by buying a ticket.
Right.
Like you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. And there's kind of that slightly different scenario where it's like if you really want to like go eat out at that restaurant and someone offers you an opportunity to make money that would allow you to afford to do the thing,
Right.
here you go.
Right.
And it's for some people it's like they just want the money. Like, can you just send the money?
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Aww. Blue Ice is sharing snacks.
Yay! I will take snack. I like snack. What are we having? Cookies?
It looks like popcorn.
Ooh, popcorn even better. Just gotta make sure that it's buttery. All right. God, this week has not been that much.
No, I think it's literally what happens when everyone's in the same Pluto retrograde.
Well, telephone lines is under threat again.
Telephone lines are under threat again?
Right. And we have this in West Virginia where you sometimes cannot get a home phone line, because there isn't any.
Oh, yeah. It is. So, all right. So, telephone landline service under threat. All right. The California Public Utilities Commission is reviewing longstanding rules that require certain telephone companies to serve all customers in their designated areas, a move that has sparked concern among rural residents who say landlines remain their only reliable link to the outside world. The process, known as Rulemaking 24-06-012, was launched in June 2024 following the CPUC's unanimous decision to reject AT&T's request to withdraw from its obligation as a carrier of last resort. These rules, in place since 1996, ensure that at least one company must offer basic phone service in every part of the state, even in remote and unprofitable areas. The carrier of last resort must provide basic service, but according to the CPUC, basic service doesn't have to be provided via a traditional copper landline. It can use any type of technology. While California, New York, and Illinois maintain strict carrier of last resort rules, 20 states have dropped landline service. Michael Matahay, a Mendocino County resident who lives on the edge of the Jackson State demonstration forest on the Mendocino coast, said he received a CPUC notice about the rulemaking in March that appeared benign, but he immediately suspected what was at stake. AT&T is trying to drop the landlines, and that's the only communication I have with the outside world, period, said Matahay, who is in his 80s and shares his property with a legally blind tenant. He's been here 15 years, and it's his only way to. In many parts of Mendocino, cell service is non-existent. There's a whole dead zone between Caspar and Mendocino. There's just no cell service, period. So the landlines are really important for emergency vehicles and stuff if I want to call 911. Landlines are also essential for everyday communications with friends and family. The CPUC's review aims to modernize the carrier of last resort framework, possibly redefining what qualifies as basic service and whether alternatives such as mobile phones or voice over IP should qualify. The commission is held across the state to gather public input, with the last hearing scheduled for May 13th, 2025 at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. This hearing will be virtual. Oh my God. So we're talking about carrier of last resort for areas that apparently have no other services. And you're going to have a virtual hearing.
Yeah. How's that work exactly? Is what I want to know.
Okay. I'm hoping that it's one hearing is virtual and the other one is not.
I'm hoping.
I'm hoping that's a horrible way of writing the sentences.
Right.
But yeah, so there's concern that not enough rural residents will make their voices heard. People need to write letters to the CPUC or submit a comment online and explain how important it is to preserve access to landlines here. It's really weird to think about California having enough rural areas for that to be a major concern. Because when we think of California, I think everything that comes to mind is like San Francisco, Los Angeles.
Right.
These are areas that have full access to technology, and a variety thereof. We often forget there are rural parts of California.
Right. There's a lot of like mountainous areas because they've got a lot of the Rockies there, and sometimes the service just sucks.
Yeah. So popcorn, butter, and cheese sauce on the side, says Blue Ice.
Yay.
On demand. We're there.
We're there. But
now,
no.
So I wonder what states have dropped carrier of last resort.
That would be a good question.
I'm going to laugh if one of them is West Virginia.
Well, that would explain one thing.
Okay, so there are 21 states. So that was from April. Industry leaders from AT&T, Lumen, Ziply Fiber, and Brightspeed said Thursday that federal and state policies requiring providers to maintain copper telephone networks are diverting capital away from next-generation broadband networks. So let's see. 21 states have taken steps to modernize regulations around carrier of last resort and copper network maintenance. States like Illinois, Colorado, and Minnesota were also advancing common sense reforms. So I'm trying to see if they actually listed. They don't list out the states. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, like
it seems like no one wants their name on this. Like or very few. Like 21 states, but we can't talk about which 21 they are.
Yeah.
May 13th. AT&T loses key ruling in attempt to escape carrier of last resort. AT&T submitted flawed and erroneous assertions, California agency judge says.
Not AT&T. Ma Bell, no way. Why would you do that?
Yeah, so apparently AT&T's application to end its landline phone obligations in California is likely to be rejected by state officials following protests from residents worried about losing access to phone lines. An administrative law judge of the California Public Utilities Commission recommended rejection of the application in a proposed decision released Friday. The CPUC is set to vote on finalizing on June 20th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one's really saying what are the 21 states that are like, oh yeah, we're ready to do this.
Well, what gets me and what causes me to question a lot of things here with them is this. If we don't have phone lines anymore, we don't have home phones anymore, then what?
And more to the point, like, do you realize how big of a divide that is?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, if you're talking about what brought carrier of last resort into existence in the first place, it was that we had areas that no one wanted to serve. That you had, like, AT&T was a major provider in, say, California.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking over here at, like, you know, boondocks, rural, middle of nowhere, you know, parts of California, going, ew, that's going to cost us more than we'll ever make.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. Why would we do that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know, because in Los Angeles, you're making a shit ton of money servicing those customers. Could you take some of that profit and help, you know, keep the, you know, the more rural areas functional?
Right.
That this is a livable, workable. You don't have the best of technology or the best that technology has to offer, but you're at least basically functional.
Right.
So what we would fundamentally be talking about is reducing those areas to basically wilderness. That you're going to be reliant on CBs. You're going to be reliant on, you know, ham radio operators. You're going to be like that. It's a step backwards in terms of telecommunications. And then how do you expect these areas to continue to safely function? And because ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to force people out of their homes.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. But more to the point is, you know, as you do that, you're also reducing the ability for these areas to continue to move forward.
Right.
That you know, if you have within this rural area, say, a segment of land that's being used for a home-based business, that can be used for, say, a resort, you're disconnecting.
Yeah.
How is that business supposed to continue to function?
Right.
Without even the most basic of services. Yeah, that's.
You know, and I know what their answer is going to be. Oh, well, we can give them a satellite phone. Yeah, have you seen the prices of satellite calling?
Yeah, satellite phone and internet. It's an option. Like, don't get me wrong, it's an option, but it's probably a better one if you are traveling to areas, not living in areas that are remote. So no, it always sits poorly with me. Because usually when we say rural areas, people have this idea of what that means. And you're picturing these untamed wildernesses and miles between houses, and, you know, these, you know, whatever. And so there's this idea that, oh, these customers are just being so greedy and wanting stuff for free that no business should have to support. And it's like, okay, there's a little grain of reality in that. And I, if that's all these rural areas were,
Mm-hmm.
I could kind of see that point. For a lot of areas, that their their classification as rural is a thing that happened to them,
Mm-hmm.
not a thing that they forever were.
Right.
That we see this all throughout West Virginia with rural areas that used to be boom towns
Mm-hmm.
that had thousands, tens of thousands of residents at one point.
Right.
Slowly, as industry left, that so has their infrastructure to exist.
Yeah.
And this is one more blow to those communities. This is one more blow to elderly homeowners. This is one more blow
Mm-hmm.
to the few remaining hanging on by a thread businesses.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like I was recently taking someone home, and we started talking about the neighbors that live. Technically, it would be up the street, but we will say up the holler.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Literally a quarter of a mile from the main drag.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that would be so nice to live in. And they're like, yeah, but the only thing you can get is satellite.
Mhm.
And I'm
Like
like,
phone service stops here.
yeah.
Like this is the last house.
Mm-hmm.
Or and I kind of remember this from when my mother was in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
We were at Moncook Lake.
Mm-hmm.
My family had a little, don't, like, it was not a mansion.
Right.
When I say we had property at the lake, it sounds way bigger of a deal than it was. It was a single wide trailer, two of them
Mm-hmm.
actually, parked on a piece of property.
Right.
Well water, barely had electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the deal. And it was nowhere near the lake. There was a drive. So it's not lakefront property.
Right.
But it was a fun little place. But no, to find out that mom was in a car accident
Mm-hmm.
required mom to be conscious and able to tell them the phone number of the neighbor at the lake who lived there year round that actually had phone service.
Right.
Like, and that was
Right.
part of my childhood. Like, they're like, we didn't have cell phones,
Right.
because this was way early 90s,
Right.
like literally 1990. And so yeah, the neighbor had to get in the truck after the
Mm-hmm.
phone call to come get my father and let
Mm-hmm.
him know.
Right.
Like, this is how that went. Like,
Right.
you had to, like, if something happened in the middle of the night,
Right.
someone had to get into a vehicle
Right.
and drive out to a payphone, to that neighbor, to somewhere else to get help.
Right.
Like, you went up there and you were immediately cut off, not because there wasn't any service.
Right.
That was an instance in where it was just not worth having. For a property, you only go up to for a couple of weeks at a time, a few times a year. Why
Right.
would you bother? But it was a big deal because the phone service was about the only thing that
Mm-hmm.
area had. They had phone and power.
Right.
There was no water service. There was no sewer service. There was no trash service. Like, none of that existed.
Uh-huh.
You just, like, you were on your own. And that's a hard sell. It's cute for a nice little vacation property.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about a, like, full-time living situation,
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Well, it is, and it's kind of like we have talked about moving to a certain little town in West Virginia, and yeah, there's cheap ass property there.
Hmm.
I'm still trying to find out if there's internet on that property because that block would block the move, especially if we
Yeah,
were going to
it's
build a cabin.
well, and it's
Um,
not even just is there internet.
right.
It's is there a decent level of service? Maybe not our full 1 gig service that we currently have,
Mm-hmm.
but I like dial up is not going to run our businesses.
No, it isn't.
10 meg frontier net that runs at 7 eternally,
Try 3.
not gonna
Let's
work.
clarify.
Well, I've seen frontier net do well
I haven't.
ish.
Every time I run into business service, Frontier Internet, it sucks bad. And
I
it
mean,
definitely isn't going to run our businesses. Like, that's not even
yeah,
happening.
yeah, trying to share a 10 meg connection in this household.
10 meg won't even run my chat, much less this live stream, much less anything else I'm doing.
But that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's a kind of a
Mhm.
oh yeah, and then then Blue Ice is like, I'm at 2 gig and can't live without it.
Yeah. Would love a 2 gig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be lovely.
Yeah.
No, we're happy to have our 1 gig, and we know that's a lot better than a lot of people in our area. Like just a few minutes down the road, that's not available.
Yeah.
That's not an option.
Mhm.
Like we have a couple of gas stations that are not that far from the house
Right.
that heaven help you if you're paying with a credit card.
Yeah.
Because the internet that they have is interesting.
To say the least.
There are a couple more that are still, I believe, functional with dial-up.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that in the most dial-up of dial-up ways. It is not an always-on connection. The reader actually dials out every single time you run a card.
Mm-hmm.
And heaven help them if a phone call comes in because call waiting screws it up. Like, yay, they have call waiting.
Right.
But yeah, like it's a whole involved process to run a credit card.
Credit card. Yeah. Like they even give you a cheaper price to pay in cash.
Yeah, they're like, please don't. Please don't.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those areas. This is the last remaining gas station.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you drop that gas station out of that community, and you're going to start collapsing a lot of people because it's a hell of a drive to the next gas station.
Right.
It's a hike.
A very big hike.
Oh.
Like there are people
traumatized Blue Ice with dial-up.
Honey, when you come to visit, we're gonna have to, we'll take you down to the holler, and where the cell phones don't work, And Joe thinks every time I take
7 minutes from the house.
Uh-huh.
And that's the reality around here is that
Yeah.
in a few minutes of driving in this area can make a huge difference between fully functional, mostly predominantly modern technology at your whim, and you gotta go 5 miles for a payphone.
Yep.
That's a few miles of driving, and you'll go in and out, in and out, in and out like that. That there's no cellular service, there is no internet service, there is no Wi-Fi there, and then we legitimately have Green Bank, West Virginia, which is a observatory that has a zero tolerance but a zero signal zone around it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're going to see payphones because
Mm-hmm.
there are no cell towers, there is no satellite, there is no.
No.
You don't have those things. You cannot use Wi-Fi in your home. You cannot use wireless devices. It is nothing.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, old style native texting. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Very much so.
That'll serve you
Yeah,
well.
that'll serve you well. You know, we still teach children Morse code in West Virginia for a reason.
At least SOS.
Um, like, and you know, just recently, it used to be where we go swimming at, there was no cell phone service. Now there's cell phone service to get a text out, and I can and I can do a location. I just realized, yeah, I can do a location, but that's it.
Yeah, you're not sending video. You're not doing a live stream. You're not doing like good luck. It's not happening.
Not happening. But I can send you my location when it's like, hey, I'm going hiking here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he drives back to civilization, only a short, like 10-minute drive, I get bombarded with all the photos he hits send on. Because he suddenly has full service again, and it's just.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's what you were talking about. Yeah.
Well, that's not exactly my reaction. My reaction is like, oh, God, how many pictures did he take? Because my phone will get bombarded.
Yeah.
Because you know, oh, there is a pretty tree, and you hit send. And oh, look, there's a squirrel, and you hit send. And you took a few more steps and saw something else and took a picture and hit send. And you went over here and you hit send, and none of that actually sent. None of it could send.
Yeah.
It queued to send on your phone when it had service again, like good, reliable, strong service. And then you have to drive all the way back out. It hits a tower, a good solid 5G tower, and my phone goes insane.
Yep.
It's just like ding.
Yeah. And you're like, what? Because I had sent you a text, here's some flowers for you, honey. I'm not going to pick them. And you're like, what flowers?
What the hell are you talking about? Then 20 minutes later.
Yeah. Then it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, those are pretty. You know, I just had to wait for the other 25 photos before that one to call.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, because I send him all the shots thinking that he's going to.
Like, you're having one experience of this hike that you, for whatever reason, decided to share in full detail. And you're taking photos and sending text, and I'm getting some text, but you're taking photos and sending text, and so it's linear for you. It all makes sense. But on my side of it is I'm getting some text, but not all the text. And I haven't seen a single photo.
Right.
So I have no clue what's going on. And then disjointedly, all of it comes through at once and starts filling back in around the text that did come through.
Right.
And it's a very weird experience because I'm sitting here and I'm getting some of the text and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? What is he talking about now? Okay, have fun. You know, like, I thought you were taking a hike.
Yeah. And I am, but I also do like a little photo thing that I think that and I've got to have him fix this. I already Discord on my phone so I can send my picture into the Discord.
Yes.
You know, and they can just get a whole photo montage.
It'll be a slam when it comes through. I'll tell you right now.
Yep.
It's just going to be like bam, 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 bam. It'll look like the world's quickest hike. It'll be like he just went zoom through that trail. Because again, he does all this linearly. It took him an hour to do the hike, and he's documenting it the whole way.
Well, actually, not the whole way, but most of it, yes.
Well, but there's a lot. There's you see all kinds of cool stuff.
Right.
And then it's not until you come out of that area and hit, a real tower,
right.
That all of a sudden all of it starts popping through. Yeah, Brenda's already excited. Hike pics to Discord. Yes, please.
Yes. She likes her hike pics.
Yeah. But no, I will say it'll be like start, end, and just everything will send at once within like a minute. And it's like, what? He did not develop a superpower to fly across this trail. It took him the appropriate amount of time. It all sent at once.
Yeah, they get sent at once, but that'll be okay. All right, so you got an Are You the Asshole for us tonight?
I do not. Oh, actually, I think I do. And it's on topic since Mother's Day was just a couple of days ago.
Okay.
This one should be an interesting one. Am I the asshole for telling my foster sister she ruined Mother's Day? I, 17 female, the youngest of 6 kids, am the only one still at home full time, and my parents decided the house felt too empty. So they started fostering Lola, 9, a few months ago. Lola's cute, but she's kind of a pain in the ass. We have a big sectional recliner. Lola refuses to sit on the couch with us, so she has her own chair that is off limits to everyone else. If I want to go out to eat, it has to be with my dad or when my oldest sister, 29, is available to babysit because restaurants are too much for Lola. If we get takeout, she stays in her room and won't come out to eat until the rest of us are done. The only way she'll eat with us is if my mom cooks, so we have to do that almost every night. She hides food in her room, which attracts bugs, but she has a huge fear of bugs, so they've switched her room twice to have it deep cleaned and have it deep cleaned every week to stop it from getting infected with bugs. She's also extremely attached to my mom and my oldest sister, so if they're around, everything revolves around her. On Sunday, we had a big Mother's Day party with our entire family. All of my siblings, most of my aunts, uncles, and cousins, and my grandparents came over. Everyone was in the backyard, but Lola was overwhelmed, so she made my mom stay in her room with her. My oldest sister tried to step in, but that ended with both of them having to stay with her. After everyone left, I found my mom and Lola in the kitchen making Lola's mac and cheese and dino nuggets, and I told Lola that she completely ruined Mother's Day for us by clinging to my mom. She started crying and went to her room. She hasn't left her room since I said that, and apparently my mom's having a hard time getting her to eat, so now my parents are pissed with me. I don't think I did anything wrong because I just told her the truth, but I wanted to see if I was the ass for saying that.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you're the asshole. I gotta say,
Yep. Totally.
Lola is 9.
Yeah.
I understand this was not what you wanted. That you are not enjoying at all being a foster sister. I mean, I, on some level, I get that. I also get, yes, fundamentally, you are kind of telling the truth in that.
Mhm.
That is not the truth for a 9-year-old.
Right.
Especially a 9-year-old exhibiting the things that you're bringing up. That's a 9-year-old with trauma.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma.
Yeah. And they feel safe with their mom, and that's where you should be happy and celebrating.
Yeah. Right now, I mean, I also, like, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't feel bad for OP. Okay.
Mhm.
You're 17. This is the last year of your childhood before you become an adult and will probably go to college, enter the workforce, move out in some direction or another. And I think you're probably having a lot of resentment of the fact that this was going to be, so to speak, and being the youngest of 6 kids,
Mhm.
your moment to have all the attention.
Right.
And I kind of get that you're feeling like Lola took that, and you're not wrong. You're
Right.
not wrong. Um, that is an issue for you to handle with your parents,
Mhm.
not with a 9-year-old foster kid with issues.
Exactly.
Like, no.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, and those screams like so many levels of abuse that the foster child has gone through. You got to back up and act right.
Yeah. It's not that I think you're totally wrong in your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the opinion for a 9-year-old to be told.
Right.
Like, that's just not things you say to a 9-year-old.
Right. That's not something you say to a 9-year-old. That's not something you say to someone that's working through crisis. And you probably, since your parents did bring in a foster child, you probably had a really great set of parents, and you still do. But you got to understand where things are at and where you belong at, and that is not how things work.
I would suggest have a very long conversation with your awesome parents,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking your parents sound pretty awesome.
Right.
But have a long conversation. I think the only thing they messed up on
Mm-hmm.
was really understanding what the impact was going to be for their non-foster youngins.
Right.
And I think you all need to have a conversation about that.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't approach you for it, I think that's definitely a conversation you need to have out away from Lola.
Yep.
Where you can vent your frustrations and hopefully find some solutions
Right.
that work a little better. It's not that you don't have legitimate complaints.
Mm-hmm.
I think OP does.
I think OP does, but at the same time, I
I
think OP needs to do something different.
Yeah, I think you're a little too close to adulthood to be handling them with the
Right.
9.
Right.
That's you have better maturity than that.
Mm-hmm.
You
I like to
should
comment
have
that
better.
Mother's Day to me is every day.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I stand with it. The poll is up. Now, Mountain Bears is not going to happen this week. Now, Patreons, if they stream the championships, you will see the championship because I will post the YouTube link that for the 2 days of the championship, which is Friday and Saturday, basically at the same time as the show. So that's why Mountain Bears isn't happening, is because we can't stream and me compete at the same time in the Chimera Championships.
But yay, championships.
Yes, first season over. We will, after the championships. And Techie has gotten involved. You want to tell them?
Yeah, well, supportively.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not competing. Like, I'm not doing the fighting.
Okay.
I'm not there for that. But I will definitely do some mining. I will definitely do some fishing.
Mhm.
I will definitely go do those things and
Yep.
have been.
Yeah.
And then there's supposed to be an expansion into farming, and blacksmithing.
Yeah, those will be interesting.
Those will be fun. Those will be fun. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got that poll up.
It is up. It is open for voting. Vote, vote, vote. Yeah.
Is sitting on Joe an event? No, it is not.
I don't know how much you're tipping, Brenda.
Hey now. Now wait a minute.
We'll take that up at that point.
I mean, we know that your chimera for fishing loves to sit on people.
Yes.
Me especially.
Yes. Love sitting on you. That is Demon Soul Collector, and I call him all cheese, but he loves to sit on you. He thinks that you're cushy.
Another overgrown lap dog.
Cat.
Lap cat. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Overgrown lap cat.
Yeah, because it's a cheetah. I fight Pacifically. I've decided that I will be fighting Pacifically cheetahs. This season I've had wolves, a kangaroo, a couple foxes that were evil, which was good for me. But I think I'm going total cheetah next season.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
And I may have a few wolves if I can't get my level 4 cheetahs. But no, if you are in SL and you want something fun that is more than party, Chimera Land is for you. Feel free to IM me. We will gladly hook you up and get you all moving and starting. Yeah. You see, you love wolves, but I thought you loved raccoons. Or do you just love the raccoon hide?
Dreamy wants to sit on Papa Bear's lap.
Well, honey, you can do that.
We'll go ahead and share that photo. That
yeah.
1 second. I gotta go grab it.
Okay.
Scrolling. 1288. There we go. Yeah. This was my lover's leap. Let's go fishing. Experience.
I
have a giant black cat basically sitting on my lap with an even more giant fish.
Yes.
So yes, that's what Brenda was talking about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which Second Life is now in browser form. I'm not exactly how sure that works with the system, but you can use just a browser to come into Second Life.
I don't know that's open for everyone yet.
Okay. Or is that what the maintenance is about?
Well, there is a major maintenance.
Right.
But yeah, let's see. I know in January, Second Life in a browser is experimental. Sessions are currently limited to 1 hour. I think you have to already have an existing account.
Okay.
So, but mobile is also an option, but again,
Yeah.
your mileage varies a lot with that, and the graphical experience is a little overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of graphics processing for a phone.
Right.
So yeah, you're to have any kind of decent experience, you're gonna have to have a really good phone.
Right.
And even then, it's a struggle.
Right.
Oh yeah. The cat in the hat.
Mhm.
Yeah, the hat's legendary.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes, that hat is legendary. It speeds up the fishing.
It's not fashion, it's utilitarian.
Yes. Now there are some fashion hats that the Chimera have. Some of them will be, maybe featured. We did win 2 trophies our first season for regular battles. We'll see what happens at the.
Yeah, because you only get a couple of weeks off, and then the next season
Yep.
starts.
If we even get that.
Something like that. It was like a week or two.
Yeah.
It's like championships, boom, right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, it'll be interesting. Yeah, we go right back into battles. We go right back into fun. If you are, stop by, find us. We are open. And, it's always fun. It's always time to have fun. And the owner is really a cool creator. Like, he's doing a lot of cool stuff. All right. So the poll is in. And it is voted. You are the asshole by majority.
Yes.
Yes.
Was there any dill pickleness?
No.
All right.
No pickleness.
Very good.
But no, if the creator streams the championship, we will be sharing it with our Patreons to come watch. Of course, everyone's always in. I am Aeson everywhere, so you can find me. You can friend me. We will get you hooked up with the party, with the Chimera events, with all that. I have a personal stylist that'll happily take you shopping and get you set up for a body if you want to invest in more than just the basic body. But they also came out with new mesh. Like, you get a mesh basic body now.
Yeah, so when you start out, you do get a basic avatar body, and for those of us who have been around a while, it is a lot better than when we started.
Right.
Like, let me tell you, it's not the best, it's not the greatest, but it is a lot more than the originals. So
right.
It's functional.
Right.
It does the basics. It's not the worst. But yeah, there's so many upgrade opportunities, like the paid for bodies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes. So shopping ready.
Yes. Yes, right. She is shopping ready. She knows where everything is.
Yep. Well, I don't mean to give you guys the bum rush, but there's supposed to be food after this, and I'm hungry.
Yes. So all right, guys. We will see you next Tuesday. And yep, get it.
All right. So of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Jonah Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Bella. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become Patreon sponsors and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. All right. So with that, guys, we will see you later. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Buckle up, y'all. It's time to drop.